Organize Me Radio, episode 64. You have arrived, part 1, Styling Your Wardrobe. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Organize Me Radio. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson, and today's guest is the founder of BHS Image Consulting, and she is the co-founder of You Have Arrived. Please welcome Batul Sadiq. Welcome, Batul.
Hi, Naeemah. Thank you so much for welcoming me today.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about image consulting and how we can, edit our wardrobes with a stylist. But first, can you tell us, how did you get your start as an image consultant?
It's a really interesting question and a great story. I myself am a Jersey girl. So like any Jersey girl, I found myself in New York City because that's the dream. And I started out, my academic background in fashion. And so life happened to take me to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I continued my education. But the lovely thing about being in that region is not only did I understand the business of fashion, but I was able to learn the application of it and the effects it has on individuals in their daily lives. And so for me, interestingly enough, I happened to come across a personal styling position. It was not something that I had planned or I even understood at the time. But as I started getting more involved in it, I realized how much fun it was for me as a young person to be in that world, and definitely the value of having those interactions with my clients. And so everything kind of started there.
So, what do you do to help your clients? How are you able to help them with their style?
Yeah, so I think some of the top challenges for women specifically that I work with who are struggling with their style is really helping them get a handle on it. I think partly what happens is we end up with a wardrobe that's very disjointed, maybe it's dated, and it doesn't serve us now in, whatever activities it is that we're doing. And so the way I help them is, one, by really making that vision of what we want to communicate visually with our clothing, with the way we speak and present ourselves, make that vision very clear. Once we have that vision, then we can kind of curate the wardrobe that serves that vision. And so essentially really addressing those challenges of time, of overwhelm. We have a lot of stuff in our closet. We don't know what to do with it. And just really making that vision clear.
So, what is your process like? So, you meet with a client, they tell you what their vision is, and you give them feedback. Then what? What happens next?
Yeah, so it's a very comprehensive process. And like I had mentioned, one of the things I really love about the personal styling aspect of the work that I do is that we really dig deep with the individual to learn what their needs really are. Because sometimes what we think we like or what we think we know, any labels that have been placed on us in times past that we've kind of taken with us throughout the years, we go ahead and really delve deep into building that relationship. So that what I'm presenting is really a comprehensive analysis of the person's needs. And so I have a framework I use of 4 different pieces that I look at. So the first is like the core fashion and styling principles, right? We need to know what our measurements are. Are we allergic to fabrics? Things of that nature that are those core pieces of determining someone's body type. The second is really knowing what they love. Are you creative and you love colors, or do you prefer kind of more of a timeless classic look? And so we delve deep into those visuals to really bring out maybe fashion concepts and looks that we hadn't even entertained before because we thought, well, that's not for me. That's for the supermodel coming down the runway. You know what I mean? And so that information is taken and then translated into that person's lifestyle. So are we working from home? Are we traveling for work? Are we, raising families? Are we caretakers? Really understanding what are the different occasions that we're dressing for. So that style can be translated into a workable and functional wardrobe, right? And so the piece after that, which definitely comes in play for individuals, especially women who are in a are in the limelight or they're really in the public eye, is really making sure that I understand the platforms that they stand for, the causes that they represent, so that we can make sure that different aspects of their image and style are really in alignment with one another. And so that's kind of the overall framework. And then, beyond that, we get into the wardrobe. We take a look at what's working, what's not. We fill in the gaps. We start putting together looks for those different occasions so that ultimately, once this individual has gone through the process, they feel comfortable getting dressed every morning without feeling like they're doubting themselves and things like that. So it's really a wonderful transformative journey, I like to call it. Sometimes we think it's all about the clothes, but it's really about that confidence that comes with dressing for success.
I love that. And I really think that it sounds like this is something where it can be really necessary for people when it comes to decluttering because I work with so many clients who have so many clothes that they never wear, right? And
Right.
then there are so many clothes that, like you said, they're out of date. Like it's something that they might have had for 10 years and hopefully it doesn't still have a tag on it. But I come across that a lot with people. And I feel like if people have the thought to hire an image consultant first, it might be easier for them to declutter. But how expensive can it be? Is this something that the average person can afford?
Yeah. And so here's the beauty of it, right? For me, every individual is a celebrity. They are the producer, the director, and the star of their own show. And I do get asked that question all the time like, well, I'm not a famous person. What does it matter? Why do I care? But once they start seeing the value in it, and how reducing that clutter in the closet really helps reduce the tension every morning when we wake up and we're overwhelmed by the stuff. So, in terms of cost, what I always say, the investment in a personal stylist actually saves you money because you're not purchasing items that you're never going to wear that still have the tags on them, or you'll know how to pair each piece multiple ways. So, you're getting the most use out of your garments versus I wore this dress once to a fancy occasion. I spent a few $100s on it, and now it's just going to sit there. I feel guilty giving it away because I spent so much money on it, but I don't know how to wear it ever again because the only way I know how to wear it is with a pair of heels and a clutch. It didn't occur to me that I could pair it with a denim jacket and white sneakers, and kind of dress it down for more casual occasions. And so, that realization is actually saves an individual money. And so I highly recommend it, of course, for everyone, just because in so many ways it's beneficial, including your bottom line, because you're not spending in excess on things that you'll never use that end up in the back of your closet. In terms of that decluttering piece, it's great to go through your wardrobe with a personal stylist because they can offer insights into what you can be keeping and that will serve you now. We'll just teach you how to reimagine those pieces and really what isn't serving you now. So maybe, in college, all of the hoodies really worked for you, but now you're a young professional or you're a seasoned veteran, and maybe we need to update those pieces a little bit. So it's really a great process. And, working with Lisa, actually, funny story. So we ended up meeting up at a coffee shop. She's a fabulous person. We work really well together, and we happened to come across the different challenges that our clients are facing. And it was so funny because I said, I really would love to teach people how to wear what they have because they just don't know. And she's like, really? Because as a professional organizer, when I walk in, I wish half of that clutter was gone so that I could properly organize for them only the items that they'll be using. And so when we had that realization, it was so wonderful. And this idea of You Have Arrived was born, which, we can go into in a few minutes. But it was such a perfect marriage of personal stylists and professional organizers kind of coming together to really serve our clients in a way that works for them.
So Do you style men and women, and what are the key differences between them?
Yeah, so I primarily focus on working with women in my, specific organization. But the great thing about both men and women and individuals coming from different backgrounds is that we all need a personal stylist. Sometimes people feel, oh, well, I'm a guy, it doesn't matter, That's not the case. There are many men that do take pride in the way that they look and dress, and so in terms of key differences, I think there are more similarities in terms of the need of dressing for the occasions in our life. The idea that we want to set the tone for our interactions with others, whether it's in a social setting or a professional setting. And so I really feel like, whereas there are more similarities than differences. And in terms of the framework, we're looking at a lot of the same things to really help develop that personal style and then translate it into curated wardrobe and then, of course, wearable looks.
So you mentioned you have arrived. As I mentioned earlier, you're the co-founder. We'll be chatting with Lisa next week, and she does the organizing piece of You Have Arrived, and you're the style component of that. How does that work? How does, I guess, the marriage of style, image consulting, and decluttering and professional organizing, how do they go hand in hand?
Yeah, excellent. So, image consulting takes a look at the individual as a whole. So, the way they're dressed, the way they're speaking, their body language. And so, in that, as a personal stylist, the great thing about personal style is that it's something that is constantly evolving, right? So, what may work for us at this phase of life may be different as we transition into another phase of life. And so You Have Arrived, which is a self-paced course that everyone can have access to, actually takes the individual through the process of identifying what is that image and personal style that works for them presently, and teaches them the general principles so that they understand that and really guides them step by step through that process. So, for You Have Arrived, it's very easily divided up into different modules to help guide people through that process. And so we start with the personal style piece again, because when we know what that is, that will determine what is in our closet. Now, once we have that figured out, okay, I love bohemian looks. I like a little bit of edge mixed into it. I know how to translate that into a professional setting when I'm, at different speaking engagements. I know how to shop for items. I know only to purchase what works for me and feels good for me. But now I have all this stuff along with the existing items in my wardrobe. What's next? And so we don't want anyone to ever have that confusion of what's next and how do I approach it. And so that's when the course begins. And Lisa is fabulous because she's just so good at teaching this. How do you take the space that you have, right? And everyone's space is different. How do you analyze the space that you have and then be able to organize those items in a way that works for you? And so rather than leaving the individual with one piece of the puzzle, we came together to guide them through the process from beginning, which is the vision, all the way through the end, which is execution. The goal being that when you walk into your wardrobe every morning to get dressed, there's a sense of calm, there's a sense of control, and you're not wasting time throwing items all over the place looking for what to wear next. And with the organizing piece, and you know this, it's not just about that first time organization, but the key is maintenance. Maintenance is so important. And you smile as I say that because we can set it up great, but then it's the maintenance piece, and Lisa does walk through that as well. And so that's why we're such proponents of You Have Arrived, because we know the value of it. And the feedback we've gotten has been amazing for people who are afraid of judgment. Sometimes, oh, I don't want a professional organizer or a personal stylist looking at what clothes I have or how much I have or all the mismatched hangers in my closet. And so we've heard this feedback where they feel comfortable that, okay, I can at least get this process started on my own and not feel overwhelmed or judged by anyone.
What's the best way for a person to understand what their personal style might be?
Yeah.
So they're not feeling overwhelmed and, confused at, what they should declutter and what they should keep.
Yeah, and so one of the workshops that Lisa and I do regularly is actually on creating that vision. Some people do that through digital or physical vision boards. Other people can do that simply by taking screenshots on their cell phone as things come up and they see them and they really enjoy them. So the first step I always say is leave the labels at the door. Because when we walk in with this idea of what we should or should not be wearing, based on body type, based on age, based on profession, we're actually not giving ourselves the opportunity to develop an authentic style. um, and you may end up looking fabulous in something you never would have entertained, right? Maybe a color that you thought, oh, I could never wear orange. That's such a bright, bold color. But it's when you walk in with an open mind and say, okay, first, I'm going to start out with what I love. No judgment. Not that I don't look like the model wearing the outfit or that's not for me. We start purely with what do we love and what makes us feel excited, and then we go from there. And so over time, when you start putting these images together, you can see the theme shining through. So if a lot of those items have certain colors, certain fabrics, certain silhouettes, that vision becomes more clear because you're seeing it right in front of you versus it being just disjointed ideas in your head, tainted by past experiences and labels that may not serve you now. And so definitely that's helpful in creating that vision and then slowly identifying what I like to call authentic personal style. And the key word there is authentic.
So, how do you feel about color? Should we wear more of it? Should we wear less of it? I feel like there are a lot of times when we're made to feel like we should only be wearing like neutrals. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, what I always like to say is, of course, we have to take a look at what's appropriate for an occasion. And that goes back to that framework that I talked about earlier in terms of, what works for us, what do we love, but then also taking into consideration that lifestyle and occasion. And so, the beauty with style is you don't have to box yourself in to one specific way of dressing. Um, I always tell everyone to be adventurous, right? Life is too short to be boring. And so if you want to, try that bold color, that mini dress, or, that leather jacket, go for it because life is too short to be boring. And so, in terms of that color piece, I always tell people it's okay to experiment just because it's fun. And yes, there are times where maybe more monochromatic and muted looks are more appropriate. And there are ways of kind of easing into that without it feeling overwhelmed. So, whites are really, winter whites are trending. It's moving into spring, we're going to see a lot of the all black, the all white. But it doesn't mean you can't accessorize with bold shoes or a bold bag. So even for someone who's maybe excited about entertaining new colors, but is uncertain or overwhelmed as to how to incorporate it, I always tell them one, be adventurous, have fun with it, don't take it too seriously. And two, just incorporate it into small pieces, right? A pair of earrings, a bracelet, a handbag, to make it easier. And you may find that you love it. And so over time, maybe you'll want to incorporate more of those pieces. And it's funny because as you become more colorful, people get accustomed to that. And then you switch it up, and one day you show up with your all white look, and they're like, wow. So you keep everyone guessing, right?
I love that. I love life is too short to be boring. I
It
love that.
really is. It really is too short to be boring. Sometimes we take things too seriously. And as my kids tell me, it's not that deep.
What
Not
are
that deep,
some of
mom.
your my son, oh my God, we won't even go there. But what are some of your best styling tips?
Yeah, so the best styling tips are keeping it simple. Don't make it complicated. So the four things I like to say is tuck, right? So the way you tuck maybe your top into your trousers or your jeans is a great styling tool to be used to take any look and just to instantly elevate it, right? So tuck, layer. So in this fall, winter season, layering is key. I love a good winter coat. As you can imagine, I have coats in all different bright colors because I personally love color. And so sometimes that's all people will see because it's so cold, we may not remove our jackets or our layering pieces. So really make your layering pieces count. The second is, or the third rather, is accessorize with jewelry. We really want to do that and then make use of prints, you know. So it doesn't have to be something in a bold color, it could be very subtle. But when you start incorporating these items into, you know, your styling aspect of your wardrobe, it's really easy. Oh, and I didn't mention roll. So sometimes if you want to roll up your sleeves or fold them a particular way, that's a great styling tip. So those are kind of a couple of ways to elevate any look, even if it's a pair of, you know, jeans with sneakers and a white t-shirt. Just adding that denim jacket or, you know, cute coat, accessorizing, rolling, all the things. It'll instantly enhance it.
I love that. Those are some really, really good tips. I hope people have been taking note, and I hope they sign up for your course because I really think that that could be beneficial when it comes to decluttering our closets. Even for me, I think I'm going to take the course as well. So I look forward to that. Can you tell me what are some of your favorite organizing products?
Wow. I have actually been introduced to so many amazing new organizing products that I wasn't aware of in times past. I think people struggle with their shoes. They end up in boxes. We don't know we have them. We can't see them. So definitely shoe organizers, and the items that we forget about in our wardrobe. So definitely that one. Jewelry organizers are huge because otherwise, it ends up tangled in the back of drawers. But my all-time favorite, which is very simple and very basic, is your coordinated hangers. There's nothing better than walking into a closet and you have uniform hangers, equally distanced. There's just a certain sense of ease and comfort that
Yeah.
comes with something so simple. And that one little change just instantly makes your closet look more fabulous and organized.
I completely agree with you. That's like my favorite thing. Like just change out your hangers. Like you don't want a bunch of different color hangers in your closet. It
Yes.
makes it look disorganized, right? So to get that organized look, just use the same type and color of hanger and that'll just change it up completely. So I agree with you
Yeah.
there. That is
And
just
so in for you have arrived, which is, you know, that feeling of really get taking control and feeling good about your closet from the organization and the looks that are in there, is that we do guide step by step so no one ever feels that they don't know what to do next or how to tackle the certain situation. And we offer many resources as well for individuals that want to delve deeper into certain aspects of that process.
I love that. So, okay, so I want to know a little bit more about you, and I'm going to ask, what's your greatest professional achievement? It could be with You Have Arrived, or just your own individual business, or just in life in general.
Wow. That's a really good question. Um, so I think one of the things that I have learned in this journey is to celebrate the small steps, is because those small steps make up those larger leaps that we end up taking on our journey. And so, you know, in my career, I've been very blessed with being around amazing people and different accomplishments. I've worked with noted individuals on their image and personal style, which is very rewarding because I get to be in support of women who are stepping into their power and doing amazing things in their local and global communities. So that, you know, definitely is rewarding for me. And, you know, I'm the incoming regional director for Fashion Group International, which is a fabulous organization. of like-minded fashion creatives. And so, I can say I've been published here and I've part of this organization, but I think the greatest, I don't know if it's considered an achievement, but it's the relationships that I've built with my clients. And to be able to see that transformation within them is the greatest reward for me. Because I've worked with, specifically with women who have had certain health challenges. They maybe were victims of domestic abuse. Maybe they, were young professionals who, I know one client of mine told me recently, after going through the process with me, she said, I finally feel like I deserve a seat at this table and I belong here. I'm not, imposter syndrome can be real for a lot of us. And so, to answer your question, I think to me, it's seeing those transformations and building those relationships with individuals that I otherwise would not have crossed paths with. So, whether it be colleagues or clients, to me, that's the something that I'm very grateful for.
Batul, thank you so much for being on. I really enjoyed our conversation. Can you tell
Thank you for
everyone,
having me.
of course, can you tell everyone how they can find out more information about you?
Yes. So my business is BHS Image Consulting. And so if you're looking for one-on-one services, definitely reach out to me at www.bhsimageconsulting.com. I'm also on Instagram and other social media platforms by the same business name. For those of you who are ready to jump in right away, You Have Arrived is available for purchase at www.youhavearrived.net. Do follow us on Instagram also. We have so many good tips and tricks to really make the process easy and enjoyable. And it's something you can do with friends as well.
Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune in next time for an all new episode.